Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining me again. So, I have just come to the end of a week on holiday in inverted commas. Holiday in lockdown is an interesting phenomenon. The dictionary says a holiday is an extended period of leisure and recreation, especially one spent in travelling or being away from home. Well, obviously, travelling and being away from home are not really possible right now. Although, had we not been in lockdown, that might well have been what I would have done. Because being away from home, I think, makes holidaying easier. Because one of the words I associate with holiday is rest. And my favourite definition of rest, and if anybody knows where this came from, please tell me because I've forgotten. It says, rest is doing something that you love with none of the responsibility. So I've done a few things that I love this week. Well, kind of. I've done some sorting out of heaps of junk, and I do like doing that, but I love the feeling that you get when you've turned a small amount of chaos into a small amount of order. And although it might look as if I was responsible for this, I kind of wasn't, because it didn't have to be done right now. I chose to do it. And I found that I began to feel more rested because of having done it. I did other things too. I've read some books which have been on my I want to read this pile for quite a while. And I've walked, mostly slowly and contemplatively, often with my camera, but sometimes simply enjoying the squelch of soggy ground under my boots, because it has been soggy this week, and various other small joys of walking in the countryside. I have realised, though, that in terms of rest, I have once again got it wrong. There's a book that I've had for about 10 years and read several times by Tony Horsfall, and it's called Working from a Place of Rest. And in it, he highlights something about rest from the biblical creation story that I'd never noticed until I read this book. In the creation story, God spends 6 days creating the world, and then on the seventh, he rests. And in doing that, God gives us a pattern to follow and permission to stop and have a day off. But it's only on day 6 that God creates people. That means that humanity began with a day of rest and worked from that place. How many of us do what I did with this week off and wait until we're tired and in need of a break before we actually take time off? And of course, working from a place of rest doesn't just hold true for taking a week off. It works in terms of having a day or a couple of days off, or an hour or two during the day, or even maybe a matter of minutes in between meetings. Tony Horsfall says that he was inspired to write this book when he read the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman meeting at the well. And as happens so often in my experience, a story that he thought he knew suddenly spoke to him in a different way. He read John chapter 4, verse 6, which says, Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. And what the author realized was that in that time, Jesus was doing nothing. He was simply taking a break, just sitting and being. And then the author realized that because Jesus was simply doing nothing, the rest of that story had the space in which to happen. Time and space to rest is important. And even if we don't realize what he's doing at the time, God will use even that space for rest. As ever, I'm going to finish with a prayer. And as ever, if you'd like to make it yours, feel free to stick an amen at the end. Loving God, help us to follow your example and to make sure that there is space in our lives when we are not busy. And help us to trust that in those times of rest, you will still be working in and through us, even if we don't see or feel it. Amen. Thank you for joining me again. See you again tomorrow, I hope. Bye for now.